Good morning, everybody. Going to be reacting to Sargon here, so we'll just get straight into it.
Really awful, right? And I hate everything about this story, and yet it's a really common story. We'll go through a few examples just because there is just a sacrifice of young people going on, not just young people either, but going on the altar of diversity at the moment. And the old people who survive them are just told by the government they've got not just like a nudge unit, but they've got like a community engagement unit and all that sort of thing. If you don't say that actually everything's fine, then there'll be hell to pay. There'll be race riots. There will be violence between communities. There'll be civil war. Who knows what they tell them, right? But you know that they're telling them something, because there's no way so many goddamn parents can watch their children be murdered by the diversity that's been brought to the country and be like, well, I mean, I'm just glad I'm not a racist. It's just mad, right? So this is...
Yeah, it is nuts. Like, if anybody who's new to my channel, I would say, I'm, against the sort of mass influx of immigrants that we've had, I suppose, over the past. I don't want to put a parameter on it because everybody's going to quibble over which sort of parameter I set, but we'll just say that, yeah, we can't continue on this course that we're going, where we're letting in such large quantities of people, and especially people that are undocumented. We don't know what crimes have committed, etc. You need to abandon course and try and return to some sort of normality as we all knew it certainly when I was growing up in the 90s.
Is the murder of film student Finbar Sullivan. He was at Primrose Hill in London, and he was practicing testing a new camera. And for whatever reason, 4 black men decided to start a fight with him. They knocked him to the ground. One of them stabbed him in the leg, and he bled to death. And it's just awful. It's just...
And what we should be doing as well, in instances such as this, is just like, why aren't we deporting the people that are from a different country and then commit a crime in our country? Like, if I do that, if I go to a lot of other countries, commit a crime in their country, they kick me straight out. But for some reason, we in Britain, we like drag our heels and make excuses and, I don't know, cook up all sort of cockamamie reasons. It's going to end up lighting a match that, a fuse, sorry, it will end up lighting a fuse, which will trigger something. And I don't want that to occur, but I think we have to be honest with ourselves and recognise that that's like a very likely outcome of what's coming down the tunnel it is.
Awful. It was filmed on mobile phones. I'm not going to play footage, obviously, but it's just this lad, just 21-year-old lad, just got a new camera, so because he was a film student, and it's just like, what absolute savages.
Yep.
There he is with his parents. I'm sure he's a lovely lad, and then these fucking savages just murder him for no reason.
Yeah, easy pickings. And like the thing is, from their countries where they come from originally, right? When an opportunity like that presents itself where they live, they see it as the god or the gods, whichever religion they're from, is presenting them with an opportunity, and they're not taking that opportunity. They are actually like wronging themselves and their deities. Hence why some of these cultures are just, until they do really assimilate with us, they are not compatible to be able to live amongst us without us taking the hits, which is obviously not something we should really be doing.
Honestly, I'm just, and it's every day something like this happens. Every goddamn day something like this happens. He'd entered the park, joined other friends for, was allegedly surrounded by the group of attackers, and then they just beat him up because they could, and one of them stabbed him in the leg. An unnamed man, by the way, stabbed him in the leg.
Unnamed. Is this because it wasn't going to be a typical anglicised name? I'm going to presume that that's the case.
And then he bled to death. And it's just like, right, that's just awful, right? I mean, I don't know how many kids these folks have. What if this is his only son? What if this is her only her only son?
I mean, I get your point, Dagon. I mean, I think it's a bit immaterial whether it's an only son or if he's one of 10. It shouldn't be happening either way. And I know that's not what he's saying here. I know he's trying to say, just like maybe from an evolutionary deterministic point of view, that that's their only son, that was their only shot at passing their genes on to the next generation, which is still a salient point. But thinking to see it from more from the moral side of things that it's one son, 10 sons. Nobody wants to lose any of them, to be honest.
It's just so awful. I just can't get over how awful this is. Lives ruined, right? It's lives constantly being ruined because of our commitment to diversity. But what does he come out and say? He's proud to live in diverse London. It's just sickening. Sickening.
Yep.
Honestly,
I don't live in London. But...
Trust me, right? If this were me and my sons, this is not what I would be saying, right? So the 65-year-old father of Finbar Sullivan...
I would just quickly want to say as well, sorry, that it's easy for me to say up north, but I'm a bit annoyed that the Southerners have just completely fled away from the areas that have been impacted, just sort of surrendered them. And even down at sort of Dover, why aren't there just like throngs of people stopping these boats, pushing them back into the sea? I know it's not as easy as that quite, but I do see a sort of lack of effort sort of thing. I think if our ancestors could just see everybody sat on their hands, they would be... They'll be very annoyed with us.
Spoken out against racist reactions to his son's death. Oh, right, okay. So Chris Sullivan told the New Journal he refuses to allow his son's name to fuel hateful rhetoric, insisting he's proud to live in diverse London and that Finbar will be remembered as a beacon of peace and love. Right, so, this awful thing happens. Ruins your family, kills your son, and the first thing you do is spout the rhetoric that led to this point.
Yep.
I don't know what to say.
Disgusting.
Like, at some point, you would think there would be a point where even the most committed wokeist would be like, right, okay, but this is getting the people I love killed.
Well, it's weird, I suppose, because some of them are like, the bitter cat ladies, and then on top of that, they've been separated from their own family from political disputes or... the fact that their brothers and sisters might have children and they don't, and it's painful for them to hang around with them. So because they're sort of like black sheep within their own families, it's hard for them to even sort of quantify how this could even try and affect them. They can only see it from we need to do what's nice for everybody, yada yada, and it's sort of a warped, contorted version of like Christian ethics is what I see on the left. They use the core principles potentially, but then Frankenstein them beyond their original intent.
But apparently not. He does. God knows, he's proud. The hate should not be directed at minorities. It's the government and the Met Police. They're the ones to blame, not immigrants, not black kids. Well, the thing is, I think that the people who actually did the murder are the ones to blame, right? I just.
Yes, I agree. Amen. That is correct. The ones who did the murder are definitely in the wrong.
Really think that proximally, directly, these people are the ones to blame. And if you think they're not to blame, then what you're saying is they are not rational agents. They are not people with agency. They are not actors.
I believe the term is moral agents. Why has he got that one wrong, to be fair? Because I would consider that Carl Benjamin, whose video I'm reacting to, knows more about philosophy than I do, I would think. But the term is moral agents.
In their own lives or in the world around us. And if you believe that, is it responsible to just allow them to be wandering the streets? Like, we allow people to be free in society because we assume that they are rational actors and they are able to take responsibility for their own behaviour. And if you don't think that, then the implications of that are quite dire, aren't they? What you're saying here, friend, is essentially they're not in control of their own thoughts or behaviour, and actually it's someone else who is in control of them. And therefore,
I would say as a Christian, that's not completely false. When humans are doing these heinous acts, however, they are being manipulated from forces greater than us. Christianity will call it Satan. Quibble about the names all we like, but either way, if they are not the true God, who is Jesus, then they are manipulating us for their own ends. And a lot of these urges to do these sort of acts are come from that direction. So he's not completely wrong, but Carl's not Christian and doesn't feel any inclination towards spirituality at the minute, so he's probably not going to agree with me on that point, but that's okay.
Met Police and the government. Indirectly, the government are responsible for this. To be honest with you, the Met Police probably bear the least responsibility for this. Sorry. But if I hear anything to the contrary, I'm really going to go to town with them, because Finn was above all proud to be a Londoner, proud of this multiracial, wonderful place we are in. It's just suicidal rhetoric. It's completely suicidal.
Suicidal empathy, I think some people call it, don't they? I can't remember who coined that term, but you see it bandied around a lot, the sort of suicidal empathy term. And it is correct, because I'm not an expert on Christianity, but I'm sure, although we are called to be nice to foreigners, we are also not to have choice taken away from us. And the British people are having choice taken away from us by who we allow into the country. And so that is not on God's path either. God would want us to be discerning about who we let in amongst us.
It doesn't matter where Finbar's killer comes from, his race, colour, creed. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a class thing, and it's been created by the government. You don't know that. You don't know why they did it. You don't know anything about this. And the fact that you're like, how can I make this about the rich versus the poor? I don't think it was that, actually. I think what it is...
It's interesting that they even acknowledge that, though. So, for the past 10 years or so, arguing with a leftist about sort of class dynamics was completely just irrelevant all of a sudden. It used to be their bread and butter. They were all about, bourgeoisie and proletariat. I can barely ever say that word. And they just suddenly forgot about that, and it was all about race. And then, they would have, people telling me that as a white man, I mean, I know my identity is secret, but you can probably tell that I'm still white, that I have more privilege than Oprah Winfrey or Barack Obama. That was, insane. Because there's no way near that's the case. But so for them to start, trying to, look at it through a lens of rich versus poor again is not refreshing, I would say, but quaint.
These guys saw your son as a skinny white guy who probably wasn't armed, probably was an easy target, and actually thought this will be fun. This happens really regularly, I'm afraid.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
As I said earlier, I don't want to maybe labour the point, but if they see an easy target, they see it as like a blessing that they have been presented with this easy target that they should really take, and that they're a fool for not taking that opportunity.
This has happened to you. Genuinely sorry this has happened to you. But there is a preponderance of knife crime in this community. This isn't your son is not a lone case. And I mean, the government indirectly for allowing these communities to be here, sure. But the ones to blame are the people who wielded the knife. Just that simple. And, look, it's just mega boomer. It's like, oh, no, the community or the colour or the creed or the person. None of that matters. It's like, it's a class thing. It's just so awful, man. It's so, so awful. Mr. Sullivan argued that young people have been abandoned, unable to access housing, employment, or university education, leaving without hope for the future. I think these guys didn't have much in the way of consideration.
I'm just going to say, I was just getting distracted with my analytics for a moment, right? So I'm going on a little bit of a dip again. YouTube's always goes up and down, up and down. I'm going on a dip now. So if you're watching the video at this point, please give me a subscribe. If you want to watch this video that Sargon has made without me talking, the link for this will be in the description, so you can go there, watch it without me. It's his video after all. I mean, the point of me reacting is that I hope that maybe you want to see what I've got to say on this subject. So, I mean, I'll continue the video.
For university, right? And I think they probably do live in a house, probably taxpayer funded. But I think that you just don't know what kind of people that you have in London, in certain communities, and you assume that just like your community, just like your son. And I don't agree.
Yeah, they're not the same. And it's a difficult point as a Christian, because like I say, we're meant to be nice to foreigners, but equally I don't think that means we have to accept everybody that wants to come this way. I mean, that's evidently... I'm not going to get into it. I was going to get into the fall of Rome, but obviously that's a very complex topic. People start bullying me about all sorts of nuanced things that happened within the Roman Empire, which have led it to fall. But I think, obviously... this was also a component, and maybe not manifesting the same way as it is here in Europe now, but there were similarities.
He also criticised media coverage for exacerbating the problem with harmful rhetoric around knife crime. I really blame the media. It's the media that's making these kids carry knives, is it? It's the media doing it, is it? These revolting newspapers keep on saying knife crime, knife crime, knife crime. Kids are going to carry knives. No. You're putting the cart before the horse, the cause before the effect, or the effect before the cause. They're carrying the knives.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of people who are against Trump. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm like proper pro-Trump. I'm not in favor of him trying to pull us into the war in Iran, get out of it. But people often looked at Trump as like the sort of cause of the culture war, maybe because that's when they started to notice it, when Trump started talking about it and stuff. But it was merely a symptom, you know. It was a reaction to the culture war, just because most people were not paying attention. I mean, I was. I mean, it's a shame that I've only just ever started making videos. I could have made many, many videos over the course of the culture war, though, like past 10 years or so. But people looked at Trump as we're doing the same thing. We're getting the effect before the cause, and he was not the cause. He was a symptom of culture war.
Right. When I was young, the media wasn't going on about knife crime all the time because we weren't carrying knives. Kids now are carrying knives because in this wonderful, diverse, multicultural civilization, there are some communities that habitually carry knives and commit knife crime. And it's not all of the communities, and it's not all of the people in those communities, but it's a significant proportion of those communities, for some reason, engage in knife crime. We can have a discussion about why you think that might be, but imagine what it's like when you're 20 and you can't.
I mean, I have my own opinions. I'll leave it here for now, though. Like, not the video, but I'm not going to get into the old knife thing on this video for quite a minute.
Walk down the street without looking over your shoulder. Well, I mean, your son was literally that person and was murdered in that scenario, and you're sat there like, somehow this is the government's fault. Somehow this, directly, this is the government's fault. Somehow it's the media saying kids carry knives, therefore the kids want to carry knives. No. It's because of the multicultural society. It's not good, and it's not set up to solve any of these problems, but it's conservative.
Yeah, it's not. Well, what we've done is presented a soft underbelly to the enemy. Well, not the enemy, not in a Christian sense anyway. But we have presented a soft underbelly to people that would take advantage of that soft underbelly, and we are now completely incapable of being able to defend ourselves, especially while one of our own hands is trying to stop the other hand from trying to solve the problem, if you know what I mean. Hence why we have this people flocking both further far right and far left, I would say. And I don't mean those terms like in the same way that they've often been used, but I mean, obviously we can determine that there are extremes on both these extremes on both left and right, and there is a spectrum in between, obviously, and obviously authoritarian and libertarian, and we can argue about a z-axis as well, I suppose. But my point is anyway that they obviously keep seeing people drawn further and further away, and I'm not trying to say that everybody should be centrist. People should still have some sort of desire to either be to land where they want on the political compass, or even be apolitical and not have to have political opinions if they so wish. But the fact that we have been stopped from resolving problems is just going to cause people to keep moving away from the centre. Whether you think that's good or bad, I suppose you have to let me know in the comments.
The government cuts to youth services. There are going to be youth services around. If only they had more youth centres. That's not it, man. That just means that stabbings had happened at youth centres. They're not safe on the street no matter where they go, even in Primrose Hill, the bastion of British middle classness. Good Lord. Yeah, you'd think that'd wake you up a bit, wouldn't you? You'd think that would wake you up. You think you'd be like, oh, my libtard beliefs brought me to this place. But as I say, it tells you a bit about him. He's an artist and a writer who established Soho's legendary...
Oh, why? It's interesting as well, because I sort of come from a more creative background. I don't know, a lot of jobs I've done are not being creative, like construction, call centres. But like at university, I studied film, and I was always interested in art, and like going in art museums. Even like going to things like the theatre, even to watch ballet, even bits of, I suppose, poetry and whatnot. You know what I mean? I have appreciation for art, but then it's always these arty types which get off on these little bubbles where they can't view reality because they make friends with like lots of nice, friendly foreigners. And I certainly have in some of the jobs I've worked in warehouses and things like this, distribution centres. But they come back with like a contorted view of immigration and foreigners generally. I think that you need to have a nuanced perspective. There's good and bad, and some people again like drawn into two camps of like they're all bad and they're all good.
WAG Club in 1982, and more recently founded Artists for Gaza. So he's part of an old scene, right? In this area, there was an old bohemian scene of libtard art types and, fundraising concerts with Paul Weller and Suggs and all that sort of thing. Like this, I'm reading a book in the 1960s at the moment, and it talks about the genesis of this scene and how like you've got like loads of artists and loads of musicians and all these sorts of people who, it's only like a few hundred people really, but they're all quite influential people and they hang out in this particular area. But anyway, so
yeah, I mean, that happens in other capacities as well, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose that's kind of where Bohemian Grove came from. So the same sort of idea or crowd, so not the exact same crowd, but same sort of people, like artists, poets, art students. Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, I'll continue anyway. The sneeze is sort of.
The point is, he's a part.
I
of
forgot
it,
my train of
right?
thought once I sneezed.
He's been a part of that, and so he's just. Oh no, it's.
I will say it's lucky that I didn't actually like sort of snot inside this mask, otherwise I'd have to obviously end the video here now.
Default back to ideology, right? It doesn't matter that my son's been killed. What matters is that I go on a political attack on this, but not against the people who caused it, because of course I wanted this. I wanted my city to be as diverse as it is. And so it's just everyone else but the people who wielded the knife who are guilty. Everyone else but the people with the knives. He went on Good Morning Britain, and this is what he had to say.
He was like the hub of this social network of people. Like his friends were saying, when they go out with him, everybody knew Finn. They said, Finn. And he just cared for people, That was the main thing, I'd say. And it was very, very evident, I'd like it if he could come an emblem.
Rest in peace, Finn, anyway. I don't have much to say. It's sad. It is really sad. Just fill me with anger. I'm trying not to get angry in videos because I don't think it's particularly a good look to become increasingly irate at a video. But yeah, rest in peace.
Or a mascot for this fight against hate and fight against kids like having no life.
I want my son, who was murdered by the University of London, to become a mascot in the fight against hate. That's not likely to happen, really, is it? Just he is kind of an emblem, but for the dangers of diversity. These gangs of kids don't.
And I think Sargon's dancing around using the word martyr there.
Don't respect you. They don't care about you. They saw your son as an easy victim and they killed him. It's awful. It's just awful. But the point, I think, that is most important, and I keep saying it, is that these people are not like you and that you don't understand them. Right?
Yep. I mean, they aren't like us in the capacity that they all have a soul from God, but they are in some instances, they are from cultures so far removed from ours that assimilation is essentially impossible if they just keep collecting together in their little enclaves and do not settle in. What you're essentially asking for is a balkanization of the UK by keeping doing this.
Your libtard beliefs. I mean, look at this. Look at his room. Look at the way he's dressed. Play beret. Like, look at all the art. It's like, oh, I'm some sort of libtard artist. Look, that's great, man. But these guys are not like you. They weren't like your son, and you don't understand them. Anyway, this is not the first time, obviously. You remember the Manchester arena bombing, where the government basically coerced everyone to sing Don't Look Back in Anger, which Noel Gallagher was not happy about, by the way. Noel Gallagher's not Don't Look Back in Angering. Noel Gallagher...
I know, yeah. I mean, obviously, God does call us to forgive people, so in our... I would say, how I would interpret this is like, for your own sake, in your own spiritual health, forgive the attackers for doing such a heinous act. But do not forget, you must forgive them within your own heart. And God knows if you have forgiven them or not.
Gallagher is actually based and sensible on all of this, by the way. Same thing about Lee Rigby's murder, where they were like, "Oh, come out and say that don't use your image to argue against Black Lives Matter protests," because he was murdered by 2 black African Islamists, jihadis, on the street, and they were just standing there with his blood in his hand after his head cut off, being like, "Yeah, we did this and we're proud of it." And you have the Nottingham attacks, where you have was it this maniac Valdo Calocane, who everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he was absolutely mental." He had like
I will say it's hard to not get angry the more you're showing these. Trying
schizophrenia or something. And he went on a stabbing attack. But of course, don't have hate in your heart. Vigil told. Again, the mums, the dads, the brothers.
Well, that's the thing. Why is it always us? We need to educate these people from other cultures in how they behave and what will and won't be acceptable, and that is not occurring.
Sisters, for the ideology of multiculturalism, have got to be like, well, these things just happen. Don't hold hate in your hearts. It's completely suicidal. The ideology has brainwashed them so thoroughly that for some reason, foreigners, strangers, interlopers, murdering their own children isn't enough to break them out of it. It's just terribly, just sad. Honestly, it's genuinely sad. Like, I just can't imagine how difficult it is. I mean, maybe they latch onto the ideology as all they've got, but it's the thing that has brought them to this place. But do you know who's not doing that? This Phil Coates here.
I'm not really aware of who Phil Coates is, but hopefully he's going to explain.
Is the brother of one of the people that was murdered.
Right.
He was this chap here. Ian Coates on the right there. Yeah, his brother is just like. Ian was brutally stabbed several times and left to die alone on a cold Nottingham street. I can't and never will forget or forgive, and neither will Ian's children or grandchildren. That's the right attitude. You know, we're definitely looking back in anger here, folks. Definitely, this is unacceptable, and I'm terribly sorry for the people who lose family members, children, friends, whoever over this. But we absolutely have to be able to identify what the source of the problem is here.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, in one way I am lucky I don't have any a wife or family to come under attack, so I only have to look out for myself, which is nice, but it doesn't stop there. Obviously, without saying too much, I have siblings and family, so there are still family members further removed from my own personal life journey through life that could still come to harm, and I still obviously care about this country. And one day, maybe I hope to would like to think I could have children here, but is it looking like it's safe to do so at the minute? Well, you'll have to let me know in the comments if you think it's safe to have children in this country.
And ultimately, it's the ideology bringing these people here. There are so many people here just shouldn't be here. Just shouldn't have been here. They have a picture of the killer in this one, but they just shouldn't have been here. And why are these people here? Why are these savages here? Because I mean, if you're just going to pick on some random kid in the street and then stab him to death, yeah, I'm going to call you a savage. Actually,
yeah, it's the correct term. I mean, I'll leave that video there because it's more or less at the end. But they are savages. Dagon is right. I mean, I don't know if I'll get in any trouble on my channel for saying that. But yeah, these they're not coming from cultures which are of a similar civilization level as ours, and they refuse to assimilate. So they're always going to cause issues. If we went to their countries and we refused to assimilate, they'd cause issues for us. We are being far too soft. Even as a new Christian now, I would still say we're being too soft. Need to have a firm hand to say no, that is not fine. But yeah, it's an hard one for me to truly weigh on at the minute. I'm not sure exactly what all the solutions are. No, we need to limit migration now for sure, and some people need to be remigrated, sure. But I don't think remigrating everybody who's not white is also a sensible position either. That seems to be a pie in the sky, delusional nonsense. Just it's counter nonsense that the nonsensical communists say. Both both delusional. I'm going to leave the video here anyway. If you like what I've had to say, give it a like and feel free to subscribe on this journey through life. See you later.